Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Television Talk Show, where truth matters. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, beginning at 2 p.m. on the Eastern Time Zone as I get to ride home with you in the afternoon. We are syndicated. You can find us on television, and that's Abundance Television found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And don't forget the podcast on thenewscasters.com. And then this big radio station here in South Carolina, they're like huge, WZLA, and they air the show also on Saturdays at 9 a.m. in the morning. That begins on the Eastern Time Zone. So we want to appreciate them and thank them so much for doing that. You can also check out their morning show. I mean, it's like so funny. I mean, if you're in a nasty mood, and I know most of you are not, but if you wake up on the wrong side of the bed, you got a headache or something, you want to laugh, listen to their morning show. It's so funny. It's just like crazy. But anyway, and it's not slapstick stuff. I mean, it's like really genuinely funny stuff. So make sure you check them out. AP Sedum is with me right now. AP, your show aired on that, and that's why we're getting so many emails now about this neck of the woods in college football. So you're making your footprint here in South Carolina.
Oh yeah, those fans, I tell you all the time, very excellent fans, rabid fans. So, but their teams are not faring well right now. Donna, Dabo Sweeney, especially 5 losses. It hasn't happened since over 10 years now. So I think he's probably going to have a serious discussion with himself and his athletic director and administration and try to turn it around. I wouldn't advise them making a move at this moment unless they had some candidate that they're truly in love with at this time. So I think Dabo will be there next year as well and see if he can rebound and come up with a plan. And Donna, when you're having difficulties as a team, many times do you have the right quarterback? But Clemson's not playing good defense either. They gave up 40-something points over the weekend to Duke. Duke hadn't won there, and they said, I think it was 45 years or something, some ridiculous amount of years. And they finally won the game. It was at 1 point. They went for the 2-point conversion at the end, and they were successful, and they defeated Clemson. So Clemson, forget this year, but you're going to regroup next season, make some changes. Offensively, defensively, maybe the people you're bringing on board, take a look at the transfer portal and try to fill in specifically for areas where you have non-production this year. I mean, defensively, you can't you can't score 40-something points down and lose. Is my point. If you score 40-something points, you should be winning. So just on defense alone, offensively they're scoring points. But they can't stop anyone right now. So, and then South Carolina, same offensively. South Carolina, even though they have Lenora Sellers, pretty good quarterback, but they can't score enough points offensively. It just puts such a burden on the defense, and you're worn down by the middle of the season, and of course, at the end, you're ready to call it a day.
Well, Nicole had a real good question for you, and that would be, and apparently she's from Alabama. She's talking about Auburn losing coach. And she said, is it wise, though, to do that, like cut it off in the middle of the season, or should they have just waited? Because that's got to be tough on the team.
Yeah, it's tough on the team, tough on the coaching staff as well. I guess there's 2 philosophies, Donna. I would always just wait to the end because you can talk to the representatives of the potential coaches without going directly to the coach. So you can be in discussions and be ready to strike and sign deals at the end of the season. Why not let them just finish the season out? But people, they have their ways, and you can even make an announcement that he's not going to return and keep this coach. Why disrupt everything? Just keep the coach and see what can be done. Maybe they'll rally around their coach. Some of the players, they like the coach. Maybe they'll, for whatever reason, they play better, subconsciously, consciously. So I'd probably keep the coach or maybe I'd just make an announcement, say he's not going to return. And we're paying him. Let him coach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they're going to pay him big time.
The potential, the buyout at Auburn is around 15, just a little bit north of 15 million, I guess.
It's still a lot of money. I could buy a lot of potato chips with that.
15 million. I mean, yeah, that's a nice severance package.
Will that all be paid in one lump sum?
Not necessarily, Donna. They different agreements have a schedule of payments. Some have a lump sum payment. 15 million. You might be able to come up with 15 million a lump sum payment, but normally it's spread over a number of years. Usually.
Yeah. And then taxes have to be come out, like at least half, I would say, of taxes. He's still not going to starve to death with $7 million. I mean, he'll still be
No,
okay.
no, they make out fine. It's generational money down there. It's not like it was years ago. I think that's where it all started to get off track because the coaching association always said, well, if you let someone go, they only have a few years where they're involved as a head coach. So you need to have some type of severance package. That's when they were making in the hundreds of thousands, let's say. But now when you're making, I'll give you an example. Kirby Smart, 13 million 1 year. I mean, if you didn't pay him another dime, he'll be fine. He'd be fine. His children would be fine. His grandchildren, his great grandchildren, and great great grandchildren would be fine. I can assure you. But some are nobody has interrupted that trend of having the buyouts and guaranteed years. And I've been on the show many times and made a suggestion: guarantee him a couple of years, 10 million. I'm using that as a base figure because Kirby makes 13 million at the top paid coach in college football. If you paid somebody guaranteed him 10 million for 2 years, that's 20 million. And if you rolled over the next year, you think the coach would make it through the first year. You're really saying, I'm going to give you 30. And you'd probably make it till 2 years. You're really going to give him 40. So there's no need to guarantee 5, 8, 10 years. It's absurd. And if the agent can't live with it, you just tell him, look, sir or ma'am, we will find somebody to take this $10 million a year and it will be a good football coach. So you can tell your client, I'm at this school in the SEC and they can go to some other school. May not be in the SEC. So you have to explain that to your client why he's not coaching in the SEC and he wants to be in this league. That's the leverage I would use.
How about we just take out the middleman? Okay, because the middleman that's where we're coming into a problem.
Well, yeah, I don't think that's going to go way down to that. They started having agents probably in the 60s with players. Because I'll tell you a story. A Green Bay Packers, Vince Lombardi, famous coach, a player came into his office and said, well, I have my agent. He's going to discuss the contract. And Vince Lombardi, he said, well, excuse me, I'll be right back. He walked into the other room. He came back into the room and says, well, tell your agent he could talk to the people at Cleveland. You've just been traded. I mean, that's powerful people. They don't like anybody that stands up to them, as we know. So 60 years ago, when they introduced the idea of agents, owners and coaches, they were not happy. But in fairness, why shouldn't somebody have a person representing them?
Yeah. I don't know. I think I've given you this scenario before. Bobby Ledbetter with Twin City Used Car Sales. He's his own guy. He stands there. He's the person who says who I'm going to let advertise with my business and who I won't. And I think he comes that way ahead. He's selling more cars than everybody else is. You can't even get into some of the other car places, to even talk, that you would like as a sponsor. And so I just deal with him. I don't even try to get anybody else. It's so hard to get in.
Right. But I think there was a person who once said about an individual appearing in court as their own lawyer, and the person said, "You have a fool for a client." So I think it's best if you have a separate party, because that you don't have to be emotional. In other words, you have to still have a good relationship with the people in that athletic department in the university or the college or the school. So there's no harsh words. Anything that would come up that would be in that category, you didn't have to say it.
True.
And you still maintain a good relationship. Yeah.
But you can also say this: nobody knows your business like you do, and so this guy knows his customers. He knows his customer base, and he's outselling everybody else. And so he knows something. He really knows something. But anyway, that's not even having anything to do. Well, it kind of does have something to do with football. We're still talking about the situation we have now, where people paid this enormous amount of money.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this, AP. Any of my competitors who'd love to see me gone and not have the show, if y'all will just get together, offer me $1,000,000, I'll step down. I'll not do this anymore, sort of.
An easy negotiation, huh? An easy negotiation. There we go.
It'd be that easy. It'd be that simple with me. Okay, there were other ball games being played too. That's over the weekend.
Right. You see, in Auburn, they were playing at home down. I just mentioned this and it was really a reflection, the worst reflection of Hugh Freeze's teams. They only scored 3 points. And Donna, and we use this term many times on your show, this is an era where it's quarterback centric. If you select the wrong quarterback, it's hard to overcome not having a quarterback that can help you win football games. And they brought in the transfer of Jackson Arnold from Oklahoma, Ashton Daniels from Stanford, and they have the Deuce Knight, the freshman from Ole Miss. Those top two quarterbacks were not able to generate enough offense. Auburn plays good defense, pretty good defense every week. They play top level defense, but they just don't have the offense to score enough points to give themselves a chance. And here they are playing Kentucky, a team that didn't have a win in the conference, and they put up 10 points. That's all it was, 10 points. Auburn couldn't even score a touchdown at home. And this is midseason. And Hugh Freeze, Donna, his forte is offense. And they've struggled in that area all the time he's been the coach, a little bit less than 3 years. So they had to make a change. Like I said, they chose to do it right now before the season ended. But that's their choice. But they'll have to find somebody that fits the Auburn culture. I tell people all the time in this era, Don, where it's so much parity, you better find someone who can coach because it's very close in talent. So either that person is a great coach or he finds great assistants and great offensive and defensive coordinators, special teams coordinators. So that's imperative if I'm looking at a coach. And Don, I'm not of the ilk to just round up the usual suspects, as they say in Casablanca, right? That movie, round up the usual suspects. I'm willing to have the courage and conviction and vision to reach out to someone who's maybe has not been a head coach or is at a lower level school. That's my preference because
I got one I think would be good. What are your thoughts? Cadillac Williams.
Yeah, I think his name has come up in some places. My feeling about Cadillac was I don't think he was a head coach per se, but if you had the discussion with him about the assistants he would hire, maybe that might be something to consider in the right situation. But like I said, it has to be very, very specific with the assistants that he's hired.
He needs to make sure his dad is not trying to run things for him again. That's the only thing with Cadillac. His dad kind of got in the way.
Yeah, you can't have any interference from your family. No, that's not it. I wouldn't recommend. I wouldn't recommend.
Oh, but I'm gonna tell you what. His mom was awesome. She used to work for us, and so she was an awesome lady. She took good care. She was one of the few who took extremely good care of my customers. You would have thought this was her business. She did a good job.
She understood. That's great. That's hard to find.
Yeah, she got it. She most certainly did. We're going to have to go into a commercial break, and we'll be right back in just a few minutes. Everybody hang in there, okay?
Queen City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. At Liberty Bank, we're all about community, whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need. Toys at Christmas or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring, but the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer.
Yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community College.
Donnas Designs offers a line of handmade memorial, wedding, and keepsake jewelry that launched back in 1970. I'm a self-trained jewelry designer, and I will work closely with you to create unique designs you can love and treasure for years to come. Whether that be flowers that were used in a funeral arrangement or stones you found on the beach at a memorable trip, call me at 256-659-4319, and let's think of the possibilities.
We're back. Thank you so much for watching. You're the reason we do what we do. Wanted to mention another new sponsor we have, and it's My Patriot Supply. Go ahead and check them out. If you'll go to our website, donnasedge.com, you'll be able to see that link. Click on it. They are running so many good specials right now. It's not even funny. And this is food and all kinds of wonderful items that you can put up. You know, a lot of people put money behind for their kids for inheritance sakes. You could do that for your kids with food. Because this stuff they freeze dry it and it's just really good. They got meats, they got vegetables, they got all kinds of stuff. And even if you don't really care about anything like that, you got a busy lifestyle, you don't want to eat out supper every single day, you can go to My Patriot Supply. It's already food put together for you. All you got to do is just put it in water and eat it. That's all you got to do. And it tastes really, really good. So I want to thank My Patriot Supply for coming on board with us. We definitely appreciate that. AP Seddon was with us right now. There were a few other ball games that were being played over the weekend too.
Yeah, big ball game, Donna, was the Vanderbilt at Texas game. And Texas got off to a big lead. Arch Manning and company, they were very efficient on offense. And at one time, it was 34-10. And then Vanderbilt came all the way back, and the final score ended up being 34-31. Diego Pavia and Clark Lee, the head coach of Vanderbilt, they made a ball game of it, but they really were overwhelmed throughout the game and had to come from behind. It's very difficult when you're losing on the road 34-10 to come all the way back, but they made a valiant effort. But that was a big ball game for Texas because they're still in the hunt to earn a berth in the college football playoff. You know, they have the two losses. They lost to Florida in the SEC, and they lost to Ohio State by one touchdown, the top team in America, Ohio State, the first game of the year. So that was a good loss as they categorized that type of game down 14-7 against the number one team. So Texas maintains their control of their destiny, and Vanderbilt does as well. But Vanderbilt can't afford to lose any more games. They got some tough games coming up. So Georgia and Florida played that big rivalry down in Jacksonville, and Florida was ahead for a while, and then Georgia came back and won that ball game 24-20. It was close. But Georgia, they won, I think, 5 in a row in that series, I believe. So Georgia, sitting at 7-1, 5-1 in the conference, they're one of the top teams in America as well. We had the Auburn and Kentucky game we mentioned. Also, let me see these other ball games. Look here, we got Arkansas, Mississippi State played, and Mississippi State won 38-35. So that was the first win for Mississippi State. Arkansas still hasn't won a conference game. We have South Carolina played Ole Miss, and Ole Miss defeated South Carolina in Oxford 30-14. So South Carolina was struggling this year, but Ole Miss is 8-1, 5-1 in the conference, in the hunt, in contention for the college football playoffs. But there'll be some good ball games this week. Down at Alabama hosts LSU. LSU will have the interim coach, Frank Wilson. So Alabama probably win that ball game, Donna, but it's still important. LSU is going to try to finish out the season. They're looking for a coach. Florida's looking for a coach. They have Billy Gonzalez as the interim. So there's openings at Auburn, Florida, LSU, and Arkansas. And then Kentucky is the team down, and Mark Stoops been there a long time. He's the dean of all the coaches, been there the longest. I think is it 12 years or so? But I don't know. Maybe he finishes out to the season, and maybe Kentucky looks for a new coach at the end of the year, possibly. I don't know.
Who are your top 5?
Yeah, my top 5, Donna. In my poll, I had Ohio State continues to be number 1, Indiana number 2, Texas A&M number 3, Georgia 4, and Alabama 5. I know some people are wondering, why do I have Georgia ahead of Alabama? They head-to-head, Georgia lost to them, but I still think Georgia's a team to beat. Georgia, their loss was to Alabama, but Alabama's loss was to Florida State, a team with 4 losses and not playing very well. So that's why I put Georgia ahead. I mean, you could flop them, but that's the way I have them right now.
Okay, so I know it's a few weeks out there, but the Iron Bowl is coming up, and everybody around here laughs at me. All I've got to do is say I'm Auburn Fields, Alabama, and everybody laughs. I mean, it's just like, boy, it must be crazy at your house. And I go, yeah, that one week out of the year, yeah, we don't get along with each other well. But now we can actually offer, advice to people the rest of the year, on how to keep your marriage strong. But it's just that one week. So you never know that. I never call that game. Okay, I just don't, because Auburn can actually be losing every single game of the season and come out and whip that one up. What drives that?
And especially with an interim coach, Donnie, you don't know what's going to happen. DJ Durkin, the defensive coordinator, is an interim coach at Auburn now. And so you don't know what type of trick plays they might use. And remember, Auburn plays good defense. So they could lower that score for Alabama, and then they'll get into a battle. And when it gets into a battle, Donna, that ball is oblong. It takes all types of funny bounces, and things happen in football. So Auburn's hopes would be that their defense befuddled Alabama and stifled them, and then keeps the score low. That would be their chance to win the ballgame, which could happen over at Auburn, because they're going to be loud and they're going to be disruptive to the crowd. So, and the crowd helps the team. I think it does in a close ball game. If the other team has more talent, it doesn't matter what the crowd does, Don, because the talent overwhelms. They're superior, and they just outman the other team. But if Auburn wants to win that game, I would say low scoring. Come up with a trick play or two, score on a turnover. Your field goal kicker is perfect that day, and no turnovers by your team, and the other team, they have plenty of turnovers. Yeah, it could happen. The funnier things happen.
Coach too. I mean, he could want to show the world something, And this could really, in a way, maybe Coach being fired could be a way to give Auburn a real good shot. I mean,
they might. Yeah, you've seen it happen before. Teams rally around the interim coach, and they want to represent the former coach in a good way, and so it happens. But Alabama right now, down to they, like I said, they're playing LSU, a team that's wounded because they had to fire their coach. And so Alabama's got to play Oklahoma as well down the road. Oklahoma, a good football team, went on the road. And we've got to mention that game. Tennessee, they beat Tennessee on the road. And that was a surprise. I thought Tennessee would win the game because they had too much firepower offensively. But Donna, you cannot account for the turnovers. When you give the other team possession of the ball and you score off turnovers, I think it was 12 points that Oklahoma scored on the road. So that was an upset. So the Tennessee fans, essentially, I think they're really knocked out of the playoff hunt because they lost to Georgia, lost to Oklahoma, and they had another loss in there, I believe, as well. But so that was a big ball game for Oklahoma to stay in the hunt for the playoffs because they lost to Texas already, and so they're still in the hunt. Oklahoma's still in the hunt.
AP, as we see it, what happened on your show last week?
Yeah. Last week we had a fun show. We had Football Scoop, the national columnist Zach Barnett, and we discussed some of the openings, the coaching, and some of the ball games, and some of the top quarterbacks in the conference. And yeah, Zach does a great job. They cover all the teams in the country in Football Scoop. He's the national columnist, so go and check that out. This week we're going to have somebody from Dave Campbell's Football, and the national writer. He's going to come on board, and of course, Dave Campbell's Football down. That's been in operation 50 plus years. I remember reading that when I first started out looking at football magazines. So I happened to sit next to him at the LSU Texas A&M game. So going to get that gentleman to come on our show this week, and we'll discuss all the games. I think there's 6 games this week. There's some byes this week. Arkansas has a bye. Oklahoma, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Texas. So we have 6 conference games to discuss. Ole Miss plays Citadel, so that's a non-conference team. But that's a warm-up game for Ole Miss. Really, they'll roll the Citadel, I'm sure. But there's 6 games to discuss. And Texas A&M, Donna, they're an undefeated team. They travel to Mizzou, and Mizzou is sitting at 6-2, 2-2 in the conference. Texas A&M undefeated in the conference, 5-0, and overall record 8-0. So that's a big ball game with implications for the playoffs and the conference to reach the conference championship as well. Georgia plays at Mississippi State. Florida's at Kentucky. And we said, Alabama hosts LSU, and then Auburn travels to Vanderbilt. And Vanderbilt had Auburn's number last year. They beat them by double digits down at Auburn. So that's going to be a tough ball game. Vanderbilt's recovering from that 34-31 close loss in Austin. And of course, Auburn lost to Kentucky 10-3. So those are I think those that I mentioned all the games. I just want to make sure we got all of them. Yeah, we have all of them that I mentioned. Yes, those 6 games. So it's always a good slate of games in the conference.
Okay, now which game is going to be the one that no one should miss?
I'm thinking that Texas A&M Missouri game, Donna, because those 2 teams, their coaches are successful, and they're in the hunt for the playoffs and for the SEC championship game to be a participant. And I think that's probably the game to watch this weekend if you're looking to see 2 SEC teams where it should be a good competition and it has some meaning to with the outcome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, got to watch those games. AP, thank you so much for being with me, and thank you guys so much for watching. You're the reason we do what we do. You can find us on television, and that's on Abundance Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And don't forget the podcast on newscasters.com and WZLA Radio. There's a powerhouse right here in South Carolina. Thank you guys so much for letting us be part of your world. See you next time around and play football. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Television Talk Show, where truth matters. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, beginning 2 p.m. on the Eastern Time Zone, as I get to ride home with you in the afternoon. It's always the biggest fun part of my day to be able to talk with you. You can find us syndicated on television. That's Abundance Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And don't forget the podcast on the podcasters, newscasters.com. You can also find us on the radio, WZLA, and that's located right here in South Carolina, the biggest country giant there is. And you can find us there as well on Saturdays at 9 a.m. Continue sending email, Donna@donnasedge.com. That's Donna@donnasedge.com. A lot of you have been asking me this question. Can I buy directly from a manufacturer, and is it worth it? Well, I've done some research for you, so we're going to find out how this works exactly. Now, I found this from a website called solarfeeds.com. That's solarfeeds.com. And they talk about comparing the market. You know, one thing that happened is, when COVID hit, that changed the whole direction of everything. So a lot of people started shopping online instead of going to a store. Now, let me tell you something. First of all, the best customer service you're going to ever get is buying directly from a mom and pop. As long as they got their act together. So I'm saying this to you, moms and pops. Make sure you are very friendly with folks who come in the door. I don't care how busy it is, how harried it is. You can still be friendly. And I'm just telling you, if you'll do that right from the get-go, when people walk in the door, see them, respect them, let them know you saw them coming in the door, they'll wait on you. I promise you, without fail, they're going to wait. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about the advantages and disadvantages of buying from someone directly, okay, if you decide you want to go do it online. Now, all those days are gone when manufacturers are dealing only with retailers and wholesalers. So those days are gone, which is a good thing for you. And they did this in order to move the product to the consumer. And all thanks to the internet and partially thanks to COVID for making this whole thing happen, now people can buy directly from manufacturers like they could not do before. First of all, the most important fact of the manufacturer of a particular product is an expert. So furthermore, the manufacturers go through every stage of design. They're there, they're in it, okay, and production, and thus they know every detail and feature of a particular product. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's food, whether it's something you buy for household goods, it doesn't matter. They are going to know their product. They provide the best advice for any customer who wants to make a purchase for the requirement. So when you go to the manufacturer to buy a product, you seek specialized advice from them and a number of options from a large range of products. You can also go for the customized options and get a particular product manufactured of the required specifications. You can also get the products at lower and better prices because you're cutting out that middleman. Now, purchasing a product directly from the manufacturer means you're eliminating the middleman, or called the retailer or the wholesaler, who buys products at a low price and then adds margin while selling. Thus, you're avoiding those extra expenses by purchasing directly from the manufacturer. Now, I'm telling you, there's some good things about this, and then it's all up to you whether you decide that's what you want to do. Sometimes they'll make you buy in bulk. Do you really need all that bulk? If you're a store, you need it, but you may not. Okay, so purchasing, therefore, it becomes more beneficial for a consumer as they buy products at a lower price, receive more specialized customer service, design, etc. Now, in addition, if you want to buy any solar products or batteries for your application needs, you can purchase them directly from the manufacturer, which is called direct purchasing. Furthermore, solar panels or battery manufacturers' designs and brand their own products, and other type businesses do that as well. They also bring in new technologies into the market. So if it's something such as maybe a television set, something like that, you're probably going to get the latest, okay, rather than something that could be sitting in inventory at a big box store for a number of months or maybe even years. The solar panel and battery manufacturers sell their products in two ways now: directly to the end user or through a number of authorized distributors. However, the key advantages and disadvantages of buying products directly from the manufacturer include what I'm about to get into. Advantage of buying directly from a manufacturer. Okay, now the author of This particular article says, I'd say that's probably the only benefit. Okay, when you want to buy at least 1 or 2 40-foot container of solar panels, then you can get them at a very cheaper price. Another advantage could be having on hand on the pulse of the supply chain. So this is something else we all are concerned with, especially since COVID hit, and it's still happening, where you get a supply chain. I'll bring you back to the year 2020. Remember when people were getting into fights over toilet paper? Yeah, maybe there was maybe a particular company, Walmart or whatever, would only get in, say, 100 rolls of toilet paper. Everybody would make a mad dash and, and get the toilet paper, get into fights and everything else about it. Now, I've always been one of those who buy ahead. And I happened to, it was one day in a Walmart store, probably a year before COVID even hit. And so I looked up on a shelf, and they had like 4 rolls of the really good toilet paper. I'm not talking about the store brand stuff. I'm talking about the really, really good stuff. It was only 50 cents. Well, you better believe I started loading down the cart. I got all kinds of toilet paper for only 50 cents for 4 rolls, and that was a super deal. Now, when COVID hit, were we hurt? No, but I'm just telling you, family members were making fun of me for buying all this stuff. They were not laughing when COVID hit. I'll put it to you that way. So there are advantages, and there can be disadvantages. Now, let's look on to disadvantages of buying directly from the manufacturer. This can be a problem. So let's just say whatever the minimum quantity would be. Let's just say I wanted to buy toilet paper, okay, and I wanted to go straight through I'm not going to give anybody free advertising, but let's just say I found my favorite toilet paper was XYZ company, okay? So I go direct to them. They'll say, sure, we'll give you a good deal. You can have it for $1 for, what normally sells for $5. But you're going to have to buy 200, or you're going to have to buy a case of it in order to get it to that price. Now, that might be okay if you got a big family, you got a bunch of brothers and sisters, they have their own family. You could all go in together and then split the cost up and split everything up even Steven. They should give you extra since you're the one who did the research, but that don't always happen with families. Okay, now that would really work out. That would benefit, but let's go in to see what the writer of the article says about that. Buying directly usually means that there are tier 1 PV makers. They need to sell at different levels. So let's just say, and I know this because I manufacture salves, and I know that there's a company that I go to and I really do like them. I like the quality of their products. I could buy 100 containers and they might be $2 a piece. I could buy 500, might bump it down to 90 cents a piece. Well, it's worth it for me because I make a lot of salves and I sell them. So I can do that. But for you, it might be a little cheaper to go on Amazon and, and pay $2 a piece for yours. So it's all in the way that you look at it, and it all depends on what you're looking at it for. And it depends on the product. Absolutely. Some foods you may not want to buy, like 2 cases of it to be able to save some money. Because, especially if it's something like a cereal or crackers or something like that, you don't want it to get old on you. Now, we'll say this, buying directly from the company, you are going to get the absolute best when it comes to the expiration date, because you're buying it directly. It's not sitting in a warehouse somewhere, in a grocery store, whatever. You're buying it direct. So you will get kind of a heads up on that, just like a grocery store chain does. Now, let's talk about buying the complicated logistics and trade terms. So let's go ahead. We need to know all this stuff too, okay? Now, you're going to use a solar company, for example. Let's just say you wanted to have solar, whatever, at your house, okay? And you want to just buy them yourself instead of, and just hire somebody to install it instead of them buying it, okay, and have the added cost on there. Currently, China dominates the list of biggest global solar panel brands. In fact, more than 71% of the world's solar panels are made in China, and that was in 2019, according to Statistic.com's numbers. And by the way, this is a good website to know. I'll spell it for you. Statista.com. Okay, therefore, buying from manufacturers essentially means getting shipments from China. That can cost you, especially, with the tariffs that have been put into place. A lot of so-called non-Chinese brands are mainly made in China as well, such as AE Solar, that's a German brand, Canadian Solar, that's a Canadian brand, and Lipton Solar, that's a Japanese brand. However, do you know the differences between CIF, FOB, EXW trading terms? Okay, but that's going to have much, you're going to have a much bigger cash flow for that. Also, during the times of disruption, larger authorized distributors may get the priority rather than the manufacturers. Now, here are the advantages and the disadvantages of distributor-based purchasing and selling. We need to go through some of those. Now, if the manufacturers go to distributor-based selling, then there are multiple sales channels. That includes wholesalers, retail stores, international dealers to reach a wider audience, and online shopping portals. In addition, if the manufacturer wants other parties to sell products for them, then they go through distribution-based selling by connecting with the dealers. Furthermore, most of the manufacturers have a close partnership with their authorized dealers who can distribute the products in a wider market. In other words, Bill and I used to be authorized dealers for Nextel cell phones. Okay, so we got the top priority when it came to the purchase of the cell phones. Now, we had to pay more, okay, and so once the phone was activated, then we were reimbursed those typical high charges, those high. But we sold so many phones, they actually gave us 30 days to pay for those phones. So that gave us time to get the inventory out there and then get the refund on what they would have originally charged us. So that's why we ordered a lot of phones. We didn't do a huge, because what if something happened to the economy? What if? So we had to run the business the smart way and order a lot, but not go overboard on it. And another reason we chose to do it that way is sometimes the prices would go down, and supply versus demand. So it could be the next month you could save $100 per phone. Well, that's a lot when you're buying 100 phones. I mean, that would be a whole lot of savings. So we chose to buy, but then we wouldn't go overboard in having the supply there. Okay, so again, depending on the business and the type of products, most of the manufacturers won't sell products in small quantities. Yeah, and sometimes you have to have a rapport with them. It needs to be somebody that you've been buying from them like a year or two, and so you've built a good rapport with the manufacturing company. So it won't be possible for an individual consumer to buy directly from the manufacturer, such as the cell phones with Nextel. Okay, now in either case, you could go to the distributor who purchases products in bulk to buy the product you need, and here you may get products at an affordable price, but higher as compared to the price from the manufacturer. Although some of the advantages of distributor-based purchasing are the same as that of direct purchasing. So let's go ahead and look at a few of those. Before we do that, let's go into a commercial break. We'll be right back.
Twin City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamon's Mexican Restaurant.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring, but the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer.
Yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community College.
Okay, I'm back. My name is Donna, and I am your host of Donna's Edge Television Talk Show where Truth Matters. We're getting to the nitty gritty. Christmas coming up. What if? What if something happens to the supply chain? Can I go directly to the manufacturer? Well, it depends. It depends on what you're looking for, and we're going to talk about that. So let's just talk about purchasing products in small quantities. Okay, so let's say I want a cell phone. I'm not going to be able to go directly to, say, Motorola, whoever the phone or iPhone, whoever the manufacturer is. I'm probably not going to be able to buy that directly from the company because I'm not going to be able to buy in like 500 phones at a time. I just want one. Okay, so let's talk about the purchasing of products of small quantities. Now, most of the manufacturers sell their products to the suppliers in large batches. And if you're planning to buy a particular battery, maybe a car battery, maybe a phone battery, or whatever for your home application needs or small offices, then purchasing from manufacturers is not the right thing to do. In such cases, it's clear advantage to buy solar products or batteries from the best distributors or the suppliers on the market. You need to check them out. Make sure that they're a good company and their customer service is pristine. Okay. Now, number 2, lower inventory and payment risk for you. Okay, you as an installer, maybe you're an installer, if you want to buy 1 or 2 40-foot containers at once, you're dealing below their risk. You've got shipping risk, you've got payment risk, you've also got inventory risk. So your cash might be trapped in your inventory if your company's installation sales is lacking. So if you buy from distributors. Now let's go ahead and talk about number 3, buying all components in one place. Okay, and let's go ahead and use the model we've got right here. This is solar panels. Okay, this one is really easy to understand. So if you have to buy each component directly from the manufacturer, you'll be dealing with at least 5 suppliers just for one project. Now, disadvantages of buying from distributors. Okay, the supply chain strategy of the manufacturers can be reevaluated with their business objectives. It can also result in franchise agreements with short notice. Let's talk about relationships between the manufacturers and the distributors. Okay, and I'm going to use Nextel for another example. Okay, so we sold Nextel phones. They were a two-way, and they were a cell phone, they were a text phone, all in one place. And I'm just telling you, to me, those were the best phones on the planet. And what happened is we had 8 locations. We sold all of those stores. And we did not know this was going to happen. And we sold them at just the right time because Sprint went on ahead and bought out Nextel. And that really ruined everything. I don't know what somebody was thinking when they approved that. But anyway, there went the two-way radios because Sprint was not equipped. They didn't have the know-how to handle that part of cell phone businesses. So it put those out. Now, Nextel, I don't know if they still sell Southern Link phones anymore. But Southern Link phones were very compatible to a Nextel phone. Now, at the day, Southern Link phones had the absolute best cell phone coverage. Nextel was the new kid on the block. And guess what? When you're the new kid on the block, you're not going to have quite the service that the big boy has, okay? So that could be another thing that happened. But the area that we were in, spot on coverage. I mean, it was a great, great relationship. Now let's talk about the relationship between manufacturer and distributors. So we bought all of our cell phones from a distributor who had the inside information from Nextel, which made it a lot easier. We sold a lot of phones. We took good care of the customer, which meant it was less for the distributor to have to do. We took care of all of that. So guess what? What resulted from that, since we took care of the customer, they didn't have to. We got the good deals on the phones, and that's what it all evaluates to. Now, the producer and the manufacturer can get their products into the market two different ways. That's through direct sales, which is basically what we were doing, distribution channels. We were the distributor. We were selling the plans. We were selling the phones. Moreover, selling products directly to the customers holds many challenges for the manufacturer and that they don't want to do. And they are basically what they are. They're specialists in the manufacturing. They're specialists in the storing of the product. They're really got it on with the building, the marketing, selling and delivering products to the customers. So most of the manufacturers go into partnerships with distributors and carefully manage their relationship, which is what we did. And again, I wanted it to be so easy on those manufacturers that they never had to take a phone call from any of my customers. And I think that's what set us, no big deal. Okay. I'm not like Einstein or anything like that. It's just that I chose to take care of the customers and my employees chose to take care of the customers. If they didn't, they got fired, by the way. But that was the most important thing. It not only saved me customers, I got referrals from it, and I got better prices on the phones. Moreover, the manufacturer-distributor relationship varies from industry to industry. While some are strategic, some are tactical. In the strategic relationship, the manufacturer and the distributor come in collaboration for marketing, branding, and product development. In this type of relationship, long-term goals are being met. We were all happy, okay? Now, in a tactical relationship, the manufacturer and distributor focus mainly on increasing sales. Here, the manufacturer builds the products, logistics are handled by the distributor, and marketing enables those products in getting into the hands of customers, okay? Everybody needs to be happy in this relationship. If you're not, you'll get a divorce, and then you're going to wind up paying more for everything. If the relationship between the manufacturer and distributor is like a seller and buyer or an employer and employee, that might not work out. Rather, every manufacturer and distributor relationship should be like a partnership. However, some might not approach this kind of relationship as it could be more challenging. But if they pay off. If they do, it's going to pay off big dividends for everybody. Okay. So I saw myself in this relationship. I saw myself as being the relationship builder. Okay. I handle the customers. I handle their issues, their products. And usually it's something really small. It's not something huge. But by having that relationship, I can go directly to the manufacturer myself. And I would point out different products. Okay, like one could be batteries. So I would have folks, and even though I told them from the get-go, don't put it on the charger every single night, because what's going to happen is the battery's going to build up a memory. When it builds up a memory, guess what? You don't get near as much time out of that phone battery. So what I was taught directly from the manufacturer, because I told them, I called and I said, look, we're having a lot of issues with people. Their batteries are not working. And I can't imagine it's on your end. I'm thinking it's probably something that I'm ignorant of, something I don't know to tell the customer. And they said, what are you telling the customer? And I said, well, I'm telling them that they need to run it all the way down between charges. And they said, well, there are other things too. Not only you want to let the battery run totally down, there's sometimes you've got to do it, okay? But I'm just talking like every night, whether I've used the phone or not, I'm sticking it on the charger. And this is not just cell phones, it's everything, okay? So you are building up a memory. I don't care what anybody says, you are building up a memory. Now, another thing that I was told, and this is back in the day when you could take the battery off of a cell phone, okay? They could take the battery off and use a pencil eraser. And it did not, for some reason, the manufacturer said it could not be like a color eraser. It would have to be like a gray or a no color eraser. So what you would do is you would take the battery off, and the contacts that are on the battery will build up a residue, just like a car battery does. See, I didn't know that. It took me calling the manufacturer to find that out. So we get a pencil eraser and just kind of gently, and by the way, I always had the customer, that's just another added on value that I did for the customer. I would have the customer bring their phone in for maintenance once a month, and I would clean. It took me two seconds. And so I would just pencil eraser, and I would just kind of erase around where those contacts were. And because I didn't want them to do it, I was afraid they wouldn't get all of because it's going to be a little bit of that eraser stuff, fall into the phone. What if they don't clean it out? It's going to be a whole new other issue right there. So I would say, let me have it. I'll take care of it. So I would go ahead and just gently do that. And then I had a little brush I would use, and then I would just brush off the residue, and I'd put it back on, and I'd say, no memory building. And see, that's something that you can do. That's why I keep telling you folks who own small businesses, some of you are scared to death of the big boys coming in. Don't ever be afraid of the big boys coming in. I'm just telling you, it's not worth it, because you're going to give the best customer service. You're going to be that. You're going to slide. Nobody else is going to be able to do better than you, because you're going to do the little things that a manufacturer won't have time to do, and the big boys choose not to do. Let me tell you something else you can do. So let's just say you sell widgets at your company, okay? And the person is having a problem with the widget, and so maybe some other person who sells widgets tells them, well, I can't take care of that for you. You're going to have to go to the manufacturer for that. Well, they come to my place, whether it's my customer or not, I'm helping them, okay? I mean, it's really important you do this, because you know what? A happy customer, whether they buy from you at the get-go or not, they're going to send referrals to you because you helped them. So I was always glad to take them in. I'd say, sure, come on, what's the problem? They would say, well, my phone's not building up. It's not charging like it used to. I would just take it off and clean it for them, and I'd say, now try this. But now another thing, don't stick it on the charger every single night. Okay, so going to be some days you don't use the phone as much as you do others. Man, they thought I was a brainiac, and I wasn't a brainiac. I was just doing what the manufacturer told me that I could do to help people. And I mean, that's all you got to do. You find a couple of glitches. Okay, you're a small business person, okay? Whatever your product is, you do a little research on your product. You figure out what is the most common things people gripe about your widget, okay? What have you heard? You got to listen to customers. Don't brush them off. Listen to them. So if you've got these customers who are having the same issue over and over again, you need to start doing some research. Call the manufacturer. And here's how you approach the manufacturer. You're going to call them, exactly like we did. You're going to call them, and you're going to say, look, I am an authorized agent for widgets from your manufacturing company. I'm having customers who are running into the same issue over and over again about this particular widget. And what I'm trying to do is to keep those people from calling you. I want them to come to me because I'm the seller and I can take the referrals. You don't sell them like that. You don't sell one-on-ones, but I do. So if you'll give me a little education there, I just want 10 minutes of your time. Give me an education. What do I need to do to fix this issue that's having? That's going to put you, you're going to skyrocket all of your competitors if you even want to call them that. You're going to be so far above everybody else, you're going to outsell them all, even if your product costs more. Yeah, you can. You can be the top seller, even if your product costs more, because you're taking good care of those customers. Now, let's talk just for a minute about, let's say I want to buy a television set for my husband. He wants to watch the Super Bowl. I'm going to buy him a big television set. And, and I'm going to go directly to the manufacturer. Some will let you do it. So what you need to do is go to their trusted website. Don't just click a link somewhere. You need to go to the website, the website. So let's just say it's XYZ television manufacturer, and they sell 80-inch television sets. Go straight to them and just ask. What can they say? No. That's all. Just call and ask and see if they can sell it directly to you. And if they ask why, just say, I just want to buy it straight from you and save some money at the same time. All you got to do is ask. Hearing the word no is not the most horrible thing you'll ever hear in your life, okay? Then you just move on and go to another manufacturer. That's all you got to do. My name is Donna. Thank you so much for watching Donna's Edge television talk show where truth matters. Can't wait to see you next time around. Continue sending email, Donna@donnasedge.com. Always love hearing from you.